On a winter night in January 1700, the earth along the Pacific Northwest convulsed with such force that forests drowned where they stood. What later storytellers would call the Thunder Kingdom of Cascadia refers not to a political state, but to a seismic realm, an immense tectonic boundary now known as the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Stretching from Northern California through Oregon and Washington to British Columbia, this subduction interface generated a megathrust earthquake estimated at magnitude 9.0. In Canadian archaeological scholarship, the event is recognized not only as a geophysical rupture, but as a transformative episode in coastal human history. Along the shores of what is today British Columbia, centuries later, nations along the Pacific Northwest coast recount stories of ground shaking, villages swallowed by the sea, and rival spirits battling beneath the waves. In many Coast Salish and New Channelth traditions, supernatural forces reshape shorelines in moments of cosmic struggle. Archaeology approaches these narratives not as myth detached from reality, but as encoded environmental memory. When aligned with stratigraphic data, oral accounts illuminate patterns of settlement, relocation, and architectural adaptation following the catastrophe. Beneath modern coastal towns lie traces of communities forced to rebuild from salt and ruin. Excavations along estuaries in Washington and British Columbia reveal cultural layers abruptly capped by tsunami sand sheets. Hearth features, post molds, and midden deposits terminate at the same horizon as marine inundation. Above these layers appear new construction phases, houses erected on higher ground, sometimes with modified structural techniques. The archaeological record thus documents resilience, not merely survival, but strategic adaptation to a reconfigured coastline. The so-called Thunder Kingdom was ruled not by monarchs, but by tectonic plates in collision. At the Cascadia Subduction Zone, the Juan de Fuca plate descends beneath the North American plate, accumulating strain over centuries. The 1700 rupture released that strain in minutes, dropping segments of coastline by as much as 2 meters. Salt marshes formed where forests once grew, and tidal channels extended inland. Archaeological site distribution maps demonstrate how such vertical displacement redefined habitable zones, compelling communities to reassess proximity to marine resources. Imagine watching the sea withdraw in eerie silence before returning as a wall of water. Tsunami modeling indicates waves several meters high struck portions of Vancouver Island and the outer coasts of Washington and Oregon. Shell middens, situated near ancient shorelines, sometimes display abrupt truncation consistent with wave scouring. In certain areas, canoe landings and fishing stations vanished entirely. The maritime lifeways foundational to coastal societies were thus disrupted, though not extinguished. In the layers of sand, one can read both devastation and continuity. While tsunami deposits marked destruction, subsequent strata reveal renewed occupation. Artifacts such as stone tools, bone implements, and carved wooden fragments, preserved in waterlogged contexts, attest to cultural persistence. Radiocarbon dates cluster in phases before and after 1700, illustrating demographic contraction followed by recovery. This pattern complicates narratives of total collapse. Instead, it speaks to adaptive strategies embedded in social knowledge systems. The forests themselves became witnesses, frozen in time beneath tidal mud. Dendrochronology, conducted on submerged cedar trunks, shows simultaneous death across wide coastal stretches. Such synchronicity confirms the regional scale of subsidence. In archaeological interpretation, these ghost forests provide fixed chronological markers against which cultural layers can be measured. They serve as environmental baselines, aligning ecological transformation with human response. Across what is now the Canada-United States border, the rupture respected no political boundary. Modern jurisdictions, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, overlay a unified seismic system. Archaeological collaboration across these regions has therefore been essential. Shared databases of site reports, sediment cores, and oral histories foster a transnational perspective. The 1700 earthquake becomes not a localized Canadian or American event, but a continental episode in Pacific history. The silence in European colonial archives contrasts sharply with the clarity of geological evidence. In 1700, sustained European settlement along the Pacific Northwest coast had not yet occurred, leaving written colonial documentation sparse. This absence highlights the importance of Indigenous testimony and environmental proxies. Archaeology fills the documentary void, reconstructing lived experience through material traces rather than official records. Every coastal marsh is a ledger of vertical motion. By extracting sediment cores from estuaries, researchers identify cycles of uplift and subsidence extending thousands of years. The 1700 event represents only the most recent in a sequence of megathrust earthquakes recurring at intervals of roughly 3 to 5 centuries. Such findings situate the Thunder Kingdom within deep time, framing it as a periodic sovereign of destruction and renewal. To stand on the shores of Vancouver Island today is to inhabit a landscape shaped by unseen tension. The modern cityscapes of Tofino, Ucluelet, and other communities rest atop terrain abruptly lowered in 1700. Hazard assessments now integrate archaeological and geological data to anticipate future events. Thus, the study of past catastrophe directly informs contemporary preparedness strategies in Canada's Pacific provinces. The drowned villages are not lost. They are archived in mud and memory. Subtidal surveys using sonar and coring techniques continue to identify potential habitation sites buried beneath estuarine sediments. Although preservation challenges persist, anaerobic conditions sometimes safeguard organic materials rarely surviving on dry land. Each recovered artifact contributes to a mosaic of pre- and post-earthquake life. In the interplay of thunder, tide, and time, Cascadia reveals its true sovereignty. The 1700 megathrust earthquake reshaped coastlines from Northern California to British Columbia, generating a tsunami that traversed the Pacific. For archaeologists in Canada and beyond, the event exemplifies how natural forces intersect with cultural resilience. The Thunder Kingdom is therefore not merely a poetic metaphor. It is a science. It is a scientifically grounded narrative of tectonic authority and human endurance. Through sediment layers, ghost forests, and oral tradition, we trace a story written in shaking ground and rising water. A reminder that even the most stable-seeming shores rest upon dynamic foundations.
The treasure is revealed, not gold, but the tragedy and survival of a people. This is the true wealth.